Hello, my name is Ryan. I'm going to be painting and talking about this podcast I just watched from Grind King. And he's just talking about how... I shouldn't be talking while I'm moving things around. I should have prepped my space before I hit record. But he was talking about how the tariff situation is affecting the launch of the new locker trucks, which I find those things fascinating. I'm just hoping that they release it in a 10-inch because, I'm a big boy. And I like the big old wide boards. But just talking about how it's like... The original tariffs before Trump took office the first time started at 4%, and then they jumped up to 16%. And then recently they've jumped up to 30-something percent. And then just now when they went to go get the latest shipment in, it's up at 60-something percent. And it's like, fuck, dude. Like, one thing that I've been trying to, because I enjoy skateboarding, and my kids are kind of into it, and I've been telling them how much it's like, this is going to really affect this industry. Because one, all the globalization that's been needing to happen just to keep the costs down. And skateboarding is one of those industries... So no matter how corporate you think it might be, it's very shoestring. It's... Every time I've seen behind the scenes, it's like, ooh. It's not like they operate on making money. They operate on getting the product in the hand of the people that want it. And it's supporting the culture, supporting people... wanting to skate. And it was interesting to hear him talk about how he got the quotes to see if he could manufacture the locker trucks in the States, and it'd be like $200 a pair. But with these tariffs, honestly, after watching that, I almost fired up my phone to order some trucks just to have on hand, but I don't really grind, so I think I'm set. I got like 3 or 4 sets. But still... No bueno. No bueno. That's why I'm sitting here thinking, because one of the questions that he put out to the community is is there any suggestions? Any way to think outside the box? And I just watched it, and the first thing that popped in my head is is there any way for Grind King and the other independent truck companies to band together? To my knowledge, Ace is still manufactured in the States. And they are a pricier truck, but man, they make it worth it. I haven't ridden Grind King, so I can't really comment. Although, like I said, if they produce that locker in a 10-inch, I'm buying it immediately. Just pure curiosity. I have one set of every 10-inch. And I was super tempted to buy the slappy 11-inch when I saw it on sale, and I've been looking for the 13 ones just because. Why not? It'd be nice to have a whole bunch of new trucks of weird, extra wide things to try out once I can skate again. But yeah, thing that pops in my head immediately is all the smaller brands try to team up and kind of have their own conglomerate. Because, like, my first thing was, like, how's PS Sticks going to survive? You got Canadian maple going down to Mexico. And I was like, man, the whole point of that whole process was to keep the profit margins down because, like, skateboarders don't want to be paying more than like $70 for a skateboard. And that's pushing it already. But like for me, like I can reflect on it, it's like I feel like skateboards haven't really gone up in price since I was a kid. Like very little. It's like the only product that's actually gone up like in a reasonable amount. Like that's what it should go up as far as prices. Like, it feels appropriate. Unlike a lot of other things. In the world of tariffs and this trade war, oh my goodness, Canada. I was just reminding my boys this morning, don't mess with Canada. You never mess with the person who's just like really nice, you know, and helpful and always is trying to find nice. Because like once you piss them off, pulling all Kentucky whiskey off their shelves. Like strategically focusing on a harming industry that comes from the states that unanimously voted Trump into office. That's bravo. And hopefully you'll get those demographics to pay attention in the future. Or, you know, pay attention to actions, don't just listen to words. And even with words, maybe like do the research instead of just believing them. Jeez. And then this entire time, it's like, tariffs are good. And like, no, they're not. There's historical precedence that says they're not. I'm just, yeah. I don't know. I'm curious. when people are going to start really uprising. Although, I guess, I don't know, I saw something on the news earlier, active shooter outside CIA offices. I'm kind of curious what that's all about. I mean, who knows? But everything that's going on could be so. Like, did Doge just try to go to the CIA and met some opposition? Or is it just another person who's drank too much of the conspiracy Kool-Aid and decided to take it on themselves instead of, organizing with a group and trying to do a peaceful route? Only having to resort to that if absolutely necessary. Because, I mean, outside of the people in charge, I think the average American still wants actual, peace and diplomacy. Moving forward productively. That benefits everybody, not just a select few. Just weird how those select few are able to manipulate so many people into thinking that what's best for the select few is best for the all. That just is weird. And, my normal gripe comes down to education. There's been such a strategic degradation on our education system to prevent people from knowing their history. The only people that really know their history are people that are drawn to just knowing and wanting to learn. It's just strange. Dude, I'd say it's funny watching Elon Musk be all pouty. Aww. His dealerships are getting blown up. Saw the best response to that as a teacher talking about all of our active shooter trainings and the things, the ridiculous shit that we've been told over the years. So if you're not aware, I've got over 10 years working in education, and I've seen a lot of shit. And some of the things that they ask us to do, like the active training shit, like the funniest thing that I saw was this, that I've been a part of, was like the principal telling this entire room full of educators is like, so you might want to bring some canned vegetables into your classroom because they make excellent projectiles. And it's just like, dude, really? And it was just like the juxtaposition of this teacher recounting those trainings. Well, you see Elon, like, people like armed guards around a Cybertruck. It's like, are you freaking kidding me? To the rest of the world and anybody who doesn't live in America and has always held America on a high standard, it's like, that's the American dream that was actually pushed in the last 20 to 50 years. Wasn't actually being self-made. It's like, how much expensive shit can you acquire, and look at how cool I am because of all these digits in my bank account. And oh, look, it's flashy. The downside is, it's like, it's all bullshit. And it's all basically like self-inflated ego nonsense to sell to the rest of the world as popular culture. Thanks, Japan. Sorry, that was a dig. It wasn't meant to be a dig, but Japan's an easy one to point out because basically a lot of the culture that I was raised with, all like the counterculture stuff, the art world in the 60s, surf and car and skate and lowrider, all that stuff has been heavily consumed by Japan. I mean, I'm kind of bitter. You have all our good lowriders. You took all our good lowriders. I mean, not all of them. There's still actually quite a few in my area that I get to see because, I mean, Tavares is a local. But I digress. I mean, but damn, it's Japanese skateboarders. Like you took it. Yeah, that's one thing you have to say. It's like the Japanese people, like they took our culture and they fucking do it so much better. Oh, and that game show. I'm loving that game show. I can't remember what it's called. I am horrible with names. But there's a skateboarding game show out of Japan, which is just, I'm loving it. I guess that's the part that makes me a little bitter. It's like over the years, a lot of the things that I love have skyrocketed in price, and it turns out it's just because collectors in Japan. You guys, oh, it's like, or people in the industry that uses them. So, like, take vintage guitars, for example. I remember playing this 1956 Gibson Les Paul Jr., absolutely beautiful, and it had a $1,200 price tag on it. And that was the first time I'd seen a junior over $1,000, and I was like, "Oh, it's too much." But you know what? It's worth it. But maybe I shouldn't. Can't find anything that's remotely as nice as that one for under $12,000 now. And I remember that came to the vintage guitar market, especially in the 90s. That's where all the guitars were going. It's Japan. And since they didn't really have them available, they're paying higher prices, therefore driving up the market. And, you know, especially with juniors, those things got mutilated. Like I remember having the opportunity to buy one that was routed out for humbuckers for like $400. I really should have done that one. Although I ended up getting a 73 SG instead, and that one's currently in pieces in the other room. It didn't survive my teenage years. Oh well. So, yeah, that 50s junior probably would have met the same fate. And that would have been sadder. Not a real one. Just body and neck and all the pieces. I need to get the body tuned up and then put it all together. Oh, shit. That's right. Fresh paint. And then since I'm still trying to think, like, why was I talking about guitars and collecting stuff? And oh yeah, what ended up being the main focus of American culture the last like 20 to 50 years. It had nothing to do with progress or prosperity in our own nation. It was more about how do we make everybody think that create it. And keep them in the dark. Don't teach them about our past. Keep them distracted with all the shiny, pretty things. Ugh. I appreciate that. I'm actually going to be picking up a new camera and microphone. I think today microphones are definitely there waiting for me to pick it up. So it'll be a better sounding tomorrow. And after I finish this up, physical therapy, and try to dial in some script. A fever soon. I don't know, hopefully build up an immunity. That being said, sadly, I have been off work, bombarded by the elementary ecosystem. I don't know if it's a new one or the same one. Can wait until I'm done. Like it a lot. Oh my goodness. Okay. The text leaked was he had walked into the Oval Office to see, and I could see them being like all emotional about their stock prices, especially after that.